Hey there, everybody. It's Vampire Preacher. Let's talk for a minute, shall we? We need to talk. How are you? How you doing? Doing well? Washing your goddamn hands? Staying the fuck in the house? Good. Good to hear. So, today, I bring you my biggest unboxing ever. I will be reviewing in this stream 32 figures. You heard that correctly. 32 figures. NANI? Is going to be a big one. And because Hasbro took so goddamn long with my shipping, that also means that none of them are Marvel Legends. So what we're going to be doing today is army building. Bring on the Henchmen, part 2. You might remember I did a Henchmen stream some time ago, but they were all Marvel Legends Henchmen. This time, they're not just Marvel Legends. Actually, none of them are Marvel Legends, but all 32 are indeed figures that I'm going to be using in some upcoming photography. So, enough of me talking. And if you think I'm joking about the number of figures, this GameStop bag is full. This box right here is overflowing. Same with this one. We have 32 action figures being reviewed today. So strap in, because it's going to take us a while. Wrong eye again?
Oh, shit. I'm using my wrong eye again, aren't I?
So, our first figure of the day is going to be the Chitauri. You remember these guys, right? They were the bad guys in Avengers 1. They were the bad guys in Avengers Endgame. We've seen them a bunch of times. Now, this is the basic figure because they didn't make a Marvel Legends of the Chitauri. They just made the basic figure. And as you can tell from the price tag up here, I bought it at Five Below. I'm going to give them straight up a shout out a bunch of times during this stream because I bought a bunch of my figures from Five Below. They cost me $5. If I'm army building, that's how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to be spending $20 a figure, although I did spend $20 a figure on some of them. We'll talk about that when it gets to it. In the meantime, let's start off with our Chitauri, shall we? So, our box is pretty basic here. It's your standard clamshell. We've got the picture of the Chitauri here. We've got the clamshell here. On the back, we've got the blurb, other figures that are available, and another picture of the Chitauri. Inside, because I made sure that I was smart, instead of needing my opening tool, I pre-opened. Our background is just the Avengers A there. Pre-opening it means that you guys aren't sitting here waiting for me to saw through this thing with my knife. So, in the package, it's pretty basic. It's a Chitauri and a rifle. Now, I'm not expecting this to have the greatest articulation. What I'm expecting this to do is look pretty dang cool in the hands of the Hulk smashing it into the ground. And Black Widow wrapping her legs up here and zapping the bejesus out of his neck. Which I got so many of these to do a pose exactly of that. I plan on doing the Fight for New York pose. Let's get into the articulation on this guy, shall we? For our neck, we've got just a little bit of up and down movement, not really a lot. Doesn't even have a whole lot of side-to-side movement. Seems like it's a ball joint, but it's a very tight ball joint. A lot of it is taken up by, if you look closely here, there's a lot of flash on the back, and of course there's the chin here. Make it so that, well, you can move it a little bit. It's not a whole lot. For our shoulder articulation, we're getting a T-pose. It's about the best I can expect. Single jointed elbows, which go to about 90 degrees. No knee joints, and our hip articulation is non-existent. It's just a standard T-cut for the pelvis, kind of thing we've been seeing in toys since the 80s. And that's it. That's all the articulation you're getting on this guy. As for how he measures up, well, I'm going to show you all two things for that. One, of course, our T-square friend is back. And two, because I was talking about him, your Chitauri versus your Professor Hulk. So, your Chitauri is coming in just under 6 inches. He's about 5 3/4 inches tall. So just a hair under 6 inches. And we've got the rifle here, which I'm not even sure how the hell he's supposed to hold this thing. Because his hands aren't really articulated for it. I guess he can kinda... I'll figure it out when I want to pose him. More so, I wanted to show what he looks like while being Hulk smashed in that New York fight. Which, let's be honest here, that's gonna look cool. The Hulk just manhandling him is the entire reason why I got these figures. What do I think of the figure? Honestly, it's really basic. It's super duper basic. It's pumpkin spice latte basic. That being said, if you're looking for a nameless, faceless, just jobber to have be destroyed in the Battle of New York, then there you go. I highly recommend going... Don't get them from Target. Don't get them from Walmart where they're $10, $15. $5 below. If you want just a bunch of Chitauri and you can't get your hands on the Marvel Select because those were made ages ago, are super expensive now, honestly, don't even bother. Get these guys. They're $5. They'll look great getting pummeled by Cap and Thor and Tony and Hulk and all the rest. I might as well just say Widow and Hawkeye at that point. For a rating, it's a 4. It's barely articulated, but it's going to look pretty good while getting, again, devastated by the Hulk and by the rest of them. So that takes care of the first 15 figures of our 32. What? Does that not make sense? Did you think I was lying about the number of figures today? Well, obviously, you don't know anything at all about army building. I told you it was full to the brim. What I didn't tell you is it was full to the brim with the same figure. Psych! Yeah. So, that's 15 Chitauri for the sole purpose of getting destroyed in a Battle for New York scene. $17 more to go.
I can clearly see you winking.
So, our next figures, speaking of Five Below, after all, who doesn't love them? The next figures we're going to be looking at are some more very basic, and they're figures. They're nothing to write home about, but they are figures. So, our next figure that we're looking at is actually a named figure. unboxed Rick Flag of the Suicide Squad. You remember Rick, right? You saw Suicide Squad, you remember Rick.
Who?
He was the incredibly generic soldier guy that was part of the team, that had no real backstory and you didn't give a damn about. 5 Below. So, well, he might have been a named character in Suicide Squad. Let's be real here. He looks so generic, if you've got a bunch of them together, they just look like a personal army. And that's exactly what I intend on. So, let's get into the review, shall we? For our Rick Flag figure, we've got our window pane front with our Suicide Squad multiverse branding here, our little picture of him from the movie here, our picture of him and the other figures that were all Suicide Squad ones, but Rick doesn't come with a build-to-figure piece. Probably why he's at 5 Below. These guys at least could make a Killer Croc build-to-figure. Rick here, not so much. On the inside of the box, our backing looks more like Doctor Strange than it does the Suicide Squad. And we've got some accessories. He comes with a little assault rifle here, a revolving grenade launcher here, a handgun, and a knife!
A knife! No!
All to go along with our Rick Flag figure. Like I said, even though he's technically a named character, let's be honest here, that's just generic looking. But let's get into the articulation, shall we? For our neck articulation, he's not looking down at all. He has no up or down neck articulation. He barely has any side-to-side neck articulation. The his shirt collar here is actually keeping him from having particularly good neck articulation. That's grand. For our shoulder articulation, we're getting a T-pose out of him. We do, of course, have bicep swivels. A, not even 90-degree elbow. Wow. That is pathetic. Single jointed, not even 90 degrees. He does have wrist swivels. Thought those went out of fashion ages ago, but here we are anyway. For our ab crunch, that's as far forward as he's going. And that's as far back. He does have a waist cut, so, that's cool. For our hip articulation, it's unnatural as can be because of these weird cuts in his thighs, but we've got a decent range of motion. We do have some thigh cuts. For his single-jointed knees, he can't even go 90 degrees. That's it. That is as far as his knee joint is going. That's pathetic. He does not have rocker ankles, just standard swivel hinge ankles here, which go so far forward and so far back. Some things of note. We do have a knife here, which can actually be stored right like that. And he does have a working holster, which you guys know I love, which goes right here. Now, something I will note about all of the guns here. If you look not even that closely, you'll notice none of them have separate triggers or even trigger areas. The trigger guard is completely filled in on, I wish I was joking, every single gun that he has. There's nothing. There's no hole for his finger to go through. Oh, he also doesn't have separated trigger fingers, so that's nice. He can hold 2 weapons on his person, so that's cool. And then you can switch between the rotating barrel grenade launcher here and the assault rifle here for what he's actually going to hold without him being able to look like he's going to shoot a dang thing, because, yeah, like I said before, he has barely any articulation here, and with the guns looking as cheap as they do, it's kind of pathetic, if I'm being honest. All in all, oh, no, I didn't forget. I didn't forget.
Why the fuck you lying?
He's coming in right at 6 inches on the nose. So, now, as I was saying, all in all, what do I think of our Rick Flag figure? He kind of sucks. For $5, I'm pleased with him. He's got more articulation than the Chitauri for $5. He's got more accessories than the Chitauri for $5. This used to be a $20 figure. People were selling this hunk of crap for $20. He might come with 4 accessories. The accessories are garbage. I need to heavily modify any of these. Give them maybe a nice wash so that they're not just black hunks of plastic, because that's kind of dumb. Make them at least kind of chromed out, silvered up, something, anything more than just being this. Because these look like trash. All in all, how do I feel about the figure? He's not the worst. He's not the best by and far, but he's not the absolute worst. For $5, grab a bunch of them. He will look really cool. Again, here's putting him next to our Professor Hulk once again, just for some size compare. If you make this a private army for someone like Kingpin, I think he'd look really cool. He's not going to be standing out. He's not going to be interesting. Maybe switch out a couple of the heads with some other DC heads that are just kind of basic, like the bald Lex Luthor, or even the haired Lex Luthor, the Steve Trevor head. You'd have a small army of people that all are very generic, but at least look somewhat different. Honestly, he's a 4 for me. Just like the Chitauri, he's a 4 out of 10. If you're looking to army build a actual army of guys with vests and everything, which I'm not sure if the vest is supposed to be able to come off, but I might just see what he looks like without a vest on. Keep some of them with vests, some of them without. Maybe take off the belt for 1 or 2. I think I'll keep the belt, but maybe take off the vest for 1 or 2. Just change up the look a little bit for pictures where he's a personal army. Is he a great figure? No. Is he cool for $5? Yeah. I'll take him for $5. So that takes care of 4 of the next figures. What, you think I'm lying again?
Lying.
With the exception of our next figure. You can see him. They're all him. They're all the same a-hole. Told you it was the biggest. I just didn't say I was going to be doing a ton of reviews. Said it's my biggest unboxing ever, though. So that takes care of our first 19 figures in reviewing 2. Our next one is another army builder that you can again find at Five Below. She used to be a Toys R Us exclusive. May they rest in peace. Our next figure is Penelope. You might remember her from Wonder Woman. No? You don't, because she wasn't Wonder Woman or Princess Buttercup? Oh. Oh, then yeah, she's just a basic Amazonian. Which means she would work really well in a setup with a bunch of other figures of just her. Either with spears or bows and arrows or a mixture. Or, because of the way she's dressed, I could see her in a Thor display. But, enough of speculation. Let's get into the review, shall we? So, once again, just like with Rick, we've got our window pane front here, where you can see the figure on the inside, our picture of the actress, name and all of that wonderful stuff over there. The back has the Build-A-Figure for Ares, which this figure was not a vital part of. You can get the other 4 figures as I did and get the Build-A-Figure for Ares. And yes, I got all 4 of the other figures, I think except for this Wonder Woman. I got all the others at Five Below as well. And then that Wonder Woman I paid like $10 for on eBay for it complete, or Amazon, I think I paid $10 for it. So I got the entire Ares Build-A-Figure for, what was it, $15? Yeah, I'm fine with that. This one does come with extra pieces for that Build-A-Figure, but they're completely unnecessary. You don't need them in any respect. But on the inside, what do we have? So on the inside of here, we've got our background, which is a very basic Wonder Woman background. And especially because Wonder Woman 1984 has been delayed, we've got, this is the only Wonder Woman action that you're getting for the moment. Now, it does come with fiery swords to give Ares. They are the exact same sword twice. That's going to stand out like a sore thumb. But you do have 2 on-fire swords that are in a kind of translucent plastic, if you could see. And that's interesting enough. They're not necessary. I don't even know if I'm going to put them with my Ares or keep them for other figures. In other news in the box, we've got this neat-looking spear, a bow and a singular arrow. And if you guys know, I am a huge archery nerd. So, that's just another archer character to add to my collection of archers. Although the bow has no string. So, you know, that's kind of stupid. At least make it so that you can knock the arrow. As for the figure herself, she doesn't want to come out of the package. DC figures always have the hardest time trying to come out of their packaging, I swear. As I mentioned before, this figure used to be, operative words used to be, a Toys R Us exclusive. Nowadays, yeah, you can find her for super duper cheap at Five Below. For our articulation, she's at least got more of a neck joint than Rick did, where she can look up and down ever so slightly. It's not a lot, but it's something. Mostly it's just side to side, and the ponytail doesn't really seem to get in the way until you get to the arms. For her shoulder articulation, we're getting a T-pose out of her. It's not great, but at least it's a T-pose. She has bicep swivels, something even Marvel Legends don't have. She has... Wow.
Wow, wow, wow.
Are you guys seeing the same thing I'm seeing? That is the worst single-jointed elbows I've ever had on this channel. That is straight up pathetic. That is horrible. No kinds of articulation in the wrists except for a basic swivel here, where it just turns. No up and down, left and right. Another odd thing is, if you look at this hand, for her right hand, it's just permanently that, where there's a hole in it. Now, I get the idea here is to make it so that she can... It's not going. It is not going no matter what. The idea is supposed to be that the arrow here can go into the back, so that she can hold it to knock the arrow to, you know, try and do archery. Which seems like a neat idea, until you've got the spear and realize you can't do anything at all with that hand with this spear. So, a little bit lame there. No ab crunch or ab swivel of any kind, just a ab or waist cut. That's it. For our hip articulation, the skirt is interfering with it. It's got better hip articulation than the Chitauri, but Rick Flag's even got better hip articulation, even with his ugly-ass hips. For her knees, she also has single-jointed knees that only go so far. Again, not even 90 degrees for either one of them. It's straight pathetic. You're never getting out of a knee operation with that, ever. They're gonna keep you in physical therapy until the day you die if you've only got that kind of range. We again don't have rocker ankles of any kind, just very basic joints here. That's as far forward as it's going, and that's as far back. Again, kinda, if I'm being honest here, kinda pathetic on the articulation standpoint. For her height, Penelope is coming in at... I'm sorry, is that correct? She's coming in right at about 6 inches as well, meaning that she is going to be the exact same height as Rick here. Maybe a hair shorter. Putting them together, she looks to be just a hair shorter. Alright, if you guys say so. You don't have scale creep, but you also don't have figures to scale with their actors. So, you know, that's fine. Here she is in relation to that Professor Hulk figure. So you can see, at least she's relatively there in size, which is a good thing since Professor Hulk here might be a figure that gets displayed with her for a Thor Ragnarok type scene. Because again, she would easily fit into the world of Thor. It's part of the reason why I grabbed this figure. I wanted to see how it was before I went grabbing more. I'm kind of glad I did. At the same time, though, another 2 wouldn't be devastating. I'd be alright with like 2 more of this figure. Just to have kind of a army of Asgardians. It'd be better if I could get the Warriors 3 Hasbro. Warriors 3. When's it gonna happen? But in the meantime, a couple of these, they're not awful. All in all, what do I think? I think Mattel really needs to work on their articulation, because it sucks. It's just terrible. For $5, it's not a horrid figure. It's okay. It comes with some neat accessories. The hand is just killing me. Between the lack of articulation in this elbow, meaning she can't actually pull back an arrow, and the weird hole in the hand thing to just put the arrow in. Okay, that's great, but if you don't have enough articulation to knock back the arrow, what's the point? The answer? There is none. I get that they wanted to go for a certain thing. Maybe give us extra hands then. Maybe give us ones that can actually hold the spear that she came with. Because this is clearly meant for the bow and the bow only. She can put the spear in her hand, but it's always going to have kind of an odd angle. And again, that other hand is always going to have that hole in it just for... I guess you can make it so that you don't really notice it if you just pose her like this. Again, she can be generic enough that you don't really notice. All in all, you know what? She's gonna get another 4. She's gonna get another 4 like the other two. She's nothing that special. The build-to-figure pieces that she comes with for a build-to-figure that's ages old, and she wasn't even in the initial line of figures that came out. I don't really know what I'm going to use these for. I don't know who's going to have a giant flaming sword. Maybe I can give them to my other Ares, or give them to... I don't know, someone, but they're not... They're probably not going to the figure they were intended for. Again, for $5, Army built up a couple of them so that you've got an Asgardian warrior woman army. That's kind of cool. I'm down for that. But that's honestly the best thing I could say. They work really well as generic background warrior women. Put them with Wonder Woman if you want to, or put them with Thor. Honestly, she's probably going to go with Thor. Along with, perfect segue here, that's how you do a transition, y'all. Our next figure. So, you want to talk about some dead memes? Who remembers Fortnite? Yeah, you remember Fortnite. No, you don't. Nobody gives a shit about Fortnite anymore.
The fuck you say to me, you little shit?
But our next few figures are going to be Fortnite figures. Now, hear me out. I don't like Fortnite. I haven't since it came out. I thought it was dumb as hell. I played like 4 rounds and came in like 3rd or 4th place just by hiding. I didn't even hide well. I think one of those rounds I actually won because I hid until the end and then just got a cheap shot on the guy who was almost dead. It was not my cup of tea. I thought it was just kind of dumb. But I heard that the Jazzwares figures here were done by the people that started Marvel Legends at ToyBiz. That's what made me a little bit interested in them. That, and some of the designs that look really cool as basic henchmen. So, let's get into the review here, shall we? For our Valkyrie figure, it says it right there, we've got our window pane front, our artistic rendering of her on the sides, which is also the same as the one on the front, and the same as the one on the back. And it doesn't even have a blurb on the back, it just says, a chilling revelation. That's it. It shows the other figures in the line. The only other one that I'm somewhat interested in is Abstract. From this wave, of course, from Series 2. Just because he's kind of cool, he's got that rebreather on. I could think of some neat things to do with him. Beyond that, Tomato Head, Leviathan, DJ Yonder, and Jonesy are so specifically Fortnite that I couldn't care less. Inside of our packaging, the background for the figure is just this yellow background. That's super exciting. We do have a kind of interesting rifle there. A large Desert Eagle style handgun. A couple of faceplates, which I will admit I do think is a really interesting thing with these figures. A backpack, which looks like a set of wings. what appears to be a piece of birthday cake. Which, yeah, that's going to get used in photography of mine. A Leviathan axe for the dad of boy. And of course, our Valkyrie figure. Now, I will say, you see the inspiration from ToyBiz immediately upon looking at this figure. Like, there's a lot of ToyBiz in here. Before I even get into the articulation on her, let's take a look at this faceplate tech. So, she comes with 3 different faces, and they just kind of pop off there. So that you can have kind of a sweeter look here. Which is alright. I think this is supposed to be neutral, but it almost looks sad. Look here, and the one that I will pretty much just keep on here and use, this kind of sly smirk look. I always like that. As many smirks as I can get, I'll take. So, those are nice. They're never going to be used. I'll be using this one to, again, have her just as a background character. Probably with Penelope here for Asgard. To go in the background of the real Valkyries that I have. And, of course, Thor. Now, oh, alright. Our fur piece is sculpted on, because it also has a hole here for the backpack. So that is non-removable. Just as an FYI. For her neck articulation, she can actually look down pretty decently well. Best we've seen today. That's not saying much. And she can look up an okay degree. Her hair starts to separate, though, in a kind of weird way right here. So I'm not sure if that's a great angle to have her at. For her shoulder articulation, better than a T-pose. I'll take it. She also has bicep swivels and double-jointed elbows. And these double-jointed elbows, it looks like, are going to give us... Yep. Even with all the fur here and everything in the way, ladies and gentlemen, the Fortnite Valkyrie is giving us that good flex. Hasbro, take note. These guys are the ones that did Marvel Legends before you, and they're still doing them better even without the Marvel Legends name. She's got that good flex and bicep swivels. Why can't you do that for your females, Hasbro? Can you tell me why? Can you tell me why you can't do that? Anytime you're ready, Hasbro. Anytime. In the meantime, she also has wrist swivels, but she has the standard in and out wrist articulation. She also has hand articulation. That's right, that's a relic we haven't seen since the ToyBiz days. Articulated hands. Hasbro had those go out of style because they think that they look better when it's just replaceable hands, which they do keep a more solid sculpt, but they also lack range. She has a waist swivel, where she can go so far forward, and so far back, so far left, and so far right. She does not have a waist cut, but for her hip articulation, if it weren't for the fur kilt she's got going on here, she actually has quite a range of waist or hip articulation. If this leg is anything to go by, without this, it's quite a bit of range. We also have thigh cuts, double jointed knees, which go back the furthest we've seen today. Again, not a compliment. It's the best we've seen, but these have all either had no legs or might as well had no leg articulation. She has rocker ankles. First time we've seen that today. And actually even has a boot cut at the bottom of the boot here. If you look very closely there, there's actually a boot cut that's swiveling around to go with these rocker ankles. So that's interesting. Now I gotta swivel that to the right place so that we can take a look at her range of motion in her foot, where it can go only so far forward and only so far back. There's too much armor at the base here on the calves to really make it so that it can go any further. She does, however, have something else Hasbro stopped using. Toe joints. Toe joints. We haven't seen these since Hasbro took over the license to Marvel Legends. Let's see how she looks with these wings on. Okay, but I think they're just a little bit too cartoony. I'm probably never going to use them. The cake is probably going to be used in other photography of mine. I think she can even technically hold said cake. Yeah, it looks like the fingers actually slide right inside to make it so that she can hold out the cake. That's kind of fun. Am I going to use it with this character? Absolutely not. But I am going to use it with other photography that I'll do. The guns are nice. If you think I'm ever going to give a Valkyrie, who I'm going to associate with Asgard, a Glock, you're wrong. I'm aware that's a Desert Eagle, but still. If you think she's even going to get this, I believe it's based off the Scar rifle, you're also wrong. The only Asgardian that gets a rifle is Scourge, and he gets Destin Troy, because when they come together, they destroy.
They destroy.
She's not getting a rifle. Those could be used for other figures. She might get the Leviathan axe, though. Why? Because I don't have a dad of boy yet. So she might get the axe to just kind of hold in a menacing way to go along with the rest of the Asgardians. Not the ones of the galaxy, just the Asgardians. As for scale, our Valkyrie here is coming in at over 6 inches tall, amazingly enough. If you go from the very tip of her crown, it's 6.5. If you go just from the top of the hair, it's just over 6 inches. Meaning that she is going to be our tallest figure so far, being taller than Rick Flag, taller than Penelope, and taller than the Chitauri. Of course, compared to our Professor Hulk, actually, she doesn't look horrid. I think between her and Penelope, they could make for quite the background characters in a scene from Thor Ragnarok or just any other Asgardian scene that you'd like to do. I've got a bunch of ideas for that. I don't see a reason why not to. Especially if you can get her for cheap. all in all, thus far, operative words being thus far, she's my favorite figure today. She has the most articulation that we've seen. She has the most range of accessories, including the faces, the guns, the axe, the cake, the wings, all of it. She might be a little bit more cartoony in style. I almost want to do like a wash on her face to make it a little bit more realistic. Or not. I'm not sure. For a rating, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I really like this figure. It's fun. She's a 7. There's a couple things I'd like better, namely just cutting out some of the cartoony style. But I get it. It's based off a Fortnite figure. It's based off a Fortnite skin, rather. So, yeah, it's going to have kind of that cartoony style. I do wish it was a little bit more realistic, but I'm not mad at it. A lot of the accessories don't really make sense to me, but again, it's a Fortnite figure. People use guns in Fortnite. They don't really use the pickaxes, which in this case, her pickaxe is the Leviathan axe. If anything, that might be cool for some pictures, even between Kratos, because of course I've got a Kratos NECA figure. Yeah, I see some options. I see some options here. Speaking of Fortnite figures, what, you thought there was only going to be one? You guys haven't been army building, have you? Our next figure up for review is the Fortnite wildcard figure. Now again, I just said I'm not a Fortnite fan. Vamp, why are you getting so many Fortnite figures if you're not a fan of Fortnite? Well, as we saw from our Valkyrie figure, they're actually really good figures. Their source material, I don't care about. I couldn't give less of a damn. The figures themselves, actually pretty good. So, let's get into what we've got here, shall we? For our wildcard figure, we've got our window pane front, our same piece of art on the side, front, and back, our blurb, which is literally just 2 sentences, pick a card, any card, and other figures from this first series. Now, I will actually admit, I like the first series of figures better than the second, mostly because they all look a lot more generic. Minus the Purple Skull Trooper and the Rabbit Raider, the Visitor, Havoc, the Enforcer, and Wildcard here are all pretty generic looking figures. Inside, oh, that's nice. We've got that same very basic yellow background. This one actually comes with the most faceplates, coming in with a total of 4. 1 for each card suit. It also comes with a handgun that we've seen earlier today. Looks very familiar for some reason or another. Actually, that's a different handgun. Huh. That's interesting. That's very interesting. He comes with his backpack, which is, it's a briefcase. It doesn't open, but it has a pair of handcuffs on it. Okay, thanks for the money in the bank briefcase, but I'm probably never going to use that. Especially since the handcuffs aren't even usable. A rocket launcher, a giant crowbar, and our actual figure. Now, this was the first of the Fortnite figures that I purchased, and it was mostly because of the customization work I saw other people doing with it. I saw people doing customs of Arcade, of Marvel fame, with him, and honestly, I looked at him and said, he could be really cool as a henchman. Because, let's be honest here, he's the Royal Flush Gang. Since he's got all 4 card faces with the heart, the spade, the diamond, and the club, you can give them all unique weapon sets and make them just a Royal Flush Gang. Why do you think I bought 4? 1 for each of the faceplates. 1 faceplate's going on 1, and it's never coming off. I've already got ideas of what I'm going to do as far as posing with them as well. Including the club one being quite obviously a meleeer, who's going to get 2 of these giant crowbars. One of them having, actually, Rick Flagg's assault rifle. Or, actually, maybe getting this assault. You know, might as well keep it all as part of this. Yeah. One of them can get this assault rifle here, which that's kind of awesome. It's probably going to be... Probably going to have club do that. Yeah. Spade, assault rifle, club, melee. Probably doing diamond as 2 of these. Yeah, let's pop that on. Oh yeah, I'm totally good with him having 2 of these. And heart, I'm probably going to give the new silver gun to. Thank you to the Valkyrie for that. Or... you know, I think that might just be it. Because I like how that looks. I'll be honest, I just like how that looks. With the grenade launcher here with diamond, I like how that looks. I like how that looks a lot. And twin guns can go to the Heartbreaker. As for this rocket launcher, which I now have 4 of, that's so distinctly Fortnite, that's pretty much just going to go in the bin. Never going to use it. But enough of the ideas that I had and my reasoning upon getting these figures. Let's take a look at the articulation, shall we? For our neck articulation, he's looking down decently well. And looking up, actually, relatively well as well. It's not bad. For our shoulder articulation... wow. Significantly better than a T-pose. Again, the best we've seen today. We do have bicep swivels. For our double-jointed elbows, I feel like these characters are going to be doing a lot of this, but, ladies and gentlemen, our Fortnite wildcard gives us that good flex. Jazzwares, thank you. You're doing it right. He also has the wrist swivel while also having the in and out wrist articulation. And once again has the hand articulation, just like on our Valkyrie figure. A lot of people complain that hand articulation makes it so that they can't really hold the weapon. When they're as tight as these joints are,
Tight.
I would tend to disagree. Our coat on the outside here is actually a soft goods plastic. Do we have butterfly shoulders? He does. They're not very dynamic. They don't have a whole lot of range, but there's a butterfly shoulder here. Look at that. Huh. That's amazing. I might even want to display one or two of these guys without the jackets. Actually, I think Hart would look good without the jacket. I think I like him with just the vest. Except that he's got the jacket sleeves. Dang it. If you couldn't see the shirt underneath, I would totally take off the jacket on this and just go with that. He does have a waist swivel, which gets him a little bit of articulation side to side. Actually, a decent amount of articulation forward. And he can go an alright degree back. He also has a waist cut. Okay. Even with the waist swivel, he's got a waist cut. Alright. And honestly, I didn't even see it, so it doesn't really break up the sculpt. So that's really nice. For our hip articulation, that's amazing. I love that. That's awesome. That is a huge amount of hip articulation. He also, of course, has the thigh cut, the double jointed knees, which can go an awesome degree back. That's amazing. Seems like, yeah, he's got actually... Wait, no, he doesn't. He actually has a real boot cut. An actual boot cut. I didn't even notice it in the sculpt here, but that's a boot cut. Huh. He also has the rocker ankles on him, which can go just a little bit in and a little bit out. Not any devastating degrees or anything, just a little bit here and there. But he's got a secondary boot style cut underneath the actual boot cut. That's incredible. Wait a minute. No. I thought that the Valkyrie had one too. I was about to be absolutely just floored by these. He can only go a little bit forward with his ankle articulation, and only a little bit back. He does have the toe articulation as well, which can go pretty far forward, and actually can go down far too far for me to be comfortable. As for scale, the wildcard figure is coming in I believe at just under 6 inches. Yeah, he's just a hair under 6 inches. I mean, just a hair. He's almost exactly at 6. Meaning he is shorter than our Valkyrie. Right about the same size as our... Actually, is he shorter than Rick? I think he's shorter than Rick Flag. He is taller than, of course, the Chitauri. And, of course, putting him next to our Professor Hulk, well, it makes for quite a height difference, we shall say. All in all, I think this is an awesome figure. I think it is absolutely incredible. It has great range of motion, minus some accessories that I'm never using, like this briefcase and this rocket launcher. He has some really cool ability. Again, not even to be a main character, just to be that background guy. I think as a background character, I'm probably going to put him with, like, the Joker. I'll probably put the gang of these guys with the Joker. Because they... I mean, come on now. You've got 4 guys with playing cards on their faces and the Joker. How could you not? To make a pure royal flush. That's the best thing I could even think of with this. He's really cool. If you can find him, especially for cheap, grab this figure. It's fun. And obviously, if you're grabbing one, grab 4. Grab one for each different suit and go wild. I really like this figure. If I have to give it a rating, I'm going to say that the wildcard figure I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm giving a Fortnite figure a 9. He's getting a 9 out of 10. Minus some BS parts that I'm never going to use. Which, if Fortnite's your thing, you do you. I see a lot of potential for these figures as, again, just very basic bad guys. Very basic henchmen to go along with someone bigger and better than them. The Joker is the first one that comes to mind, but they can also just be getting their butts kicked by Spider-Man. I think they'd look really good having that happen. I think that would be really fun. It's a fun figure. I'm really happy with this one. These guys are a little bit harder to find than the others, but they're definitely worth it. I highly suggest getting the Wildcard / Royal Flush Gang. It's worth it. Speaking of Fortnite figures, if you were here before, you already know it's coming up. Shh, don't tell the other new people. Speaking of Fortnite figures, we've got one last one. And that is the Havoc figure. Now, Vamp, you don't like Fortnite. Why is it that you have 7 Fortnite figures? 7? You only unboxed 2. You got a third one here. How do you have 7 Fortnite figures? Well, as I said before, we're doing Henchmen building. So, pick a card, any card, with the Wildcard Gang. And with Havoc here, when you find them for cheap, you gotta get 2. After all, he looks just generic enough for me to use as a personal army. If you are just tuning in to the stream, by the way, you guys know that we do the stream on Sundays, right? On twitch.tv/Vampire Preacher. So you can come and see me live doing these unboxings. We have already gone through the Chitauri, the basic enemy from the Avengers, and from Avengers Endgame. We've gone through Rick Flag, who you might not remember at all from Suicide Squad because he had no personality and nobody gave a damn. We went through Manelope, who you definitely don't remember from Wonder Woman because, again, no personality, nobody gave a damn. We went through Fortnite's Valkyrie. It's just a Fortnite skin. Fortnite's Wildcard. Again, it's just a wildcard. And now we have Fortnite's Havoc. So, let's get into this figure now, shall we? We've, of course, got our window pane front with our artistic rendering, which is just an in-game render of Havoc on the front, the side, and the back with all of 2 lines for a quote-unquote blurb, striking fear into the opposition. Okay, that's neat. Inside, we've got that very basic background, which, oh boy. We have this incredibly cartoony gun. I'm never going to use that. We have, I think, a grenade. Again, it's incredibly cartoony. Same thing with this health potion. Not ever using that. This backpack, which, those look like real bombs, right? Right? No, not at all. Those, again, are ridiculous. 2 extra face masks. And this pickaxe, which it just looks like a weird pickaxe. Doesn't look interesting like the giant crowbar or the Leviathan axe here. But this figure we didn't get for accessories, or even the extra faceplates. We got it because if you look at him, without any of the extra cartoony bits here, let's be honest here, he looks like Firefly from G.I. Joe. I got these two at both Five Below and Ross for super cheap. So yeah, if you're looking to army build, check your Ross, check your Five Below. They're gonna have figures like this guy here for good and cheap. So if you're trying to army build, you're good to go if you just go to those 2 places. As we saw, because our Chitauri are from Five Below, our Rick Flags are from Five Below, our Manelope is from Five Below. These guys admitted they're from Amazon. But yeah, Five Below and Ross for this one. For our extra faceplates for our pseudo Firefly, I am never ever going to use that. It looks far too cartoony, and he looks far too happy. I might use this very surprised face. I'll be honest, I will only be using that if I put him next to, like, some C4 or something. So it looks like it's taken seconds before disaster. But more likely than not, it's just going to be that very basic face there. For our articulation, Havoc can look down pretty decently well, and can look up to an alright degree. For our shoulder articulation, he's going slightly better than a T-pose. Not much, but slightly. He's got the bicep swivels, which are not wanting to swivel around just right. They're actually catching on their way as they try and swivel around. He's got the double jointed elbows, which are not giving him that good flex. The other 2 Fortnite figures, they had it. This one, not so much. He does not have a wrist or a forearm articulation to make up for it, which kind of stinks. He does have the swivel wrists here, along with the standard in and out wrist articulation as seen here. He also has the hand joints here, just like the other Fortnite figures, and like the Marvel Legends of the days of yore. He also has very slight, even more slight than Wildcards, but he does have very slight butterfly shoulders. It's only going a little bit back and a little bit forward, but it's something. He does have the waist swivel, which goes a little bit to the left, an alright bit to the right, so far forward, and so far back. It's not a huge amount in any one direction, but it's some articulation. He does seem to also have a waist cut. Yep, there you go, waist cut. Even with the waist swivel, he also has a waist cut. For our hip articulation, it's not quite what we got out of Wildcard, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all, in fact. He also has the thigh cuts, the double jointed knees, which go an alright degree back. It's not wonderful, but it's alright. He does have the boot cuts, though. So, you know, that's nice. He also has rocker ankles, which go a devastating degree in, an incredibly painful degree out, a little bit forward, and a decent way back. Not quite on point, but a decent way back. He also has the toe articulation, which goes a little bit down, amazingly enough, and just a hair up. He doesn't have the same articulation for his toes as either Valkyrie or Wildcard, but he's got some articulation there. As for his scale, Havoc, or as we will be using him as, Firefly, is coming in just at about 6 inches as well. He's coming in... Yeah, he's right... Actually, he's a hair shorter than Rick Flag. He's right about the same height as the Wildcard figure. He's, of course, bigger than our Chitauri. Not by much, actually. Which means our Valkyrie is going to be... actually not as tall as I thought her to be. Not as... I thought she'd be much taller than him. Interesting. And, of course, compared to our Professor Hulk, we can see he's going to be very much a puny human. All in all, what do I think of Havoc? It's the best you're going to get out of me is an This super cartoony rifle, it's trash. I'm never going to use it. This super cartoony backpack, yeah, again, it's, yeah, no, I'm never using that. What about this grenade? Yeah, no, this is garbage. This health jug. No. This pickaxe. No. No. And the extra faces, again, the only way I'm using a surprised one is if I've got him laying next to a stack of TNT or a little thing of C4 that looks like it's about to go off next to him in a photography scene I'd do. If anything, he might use something closer to... The scar here looks better with him, but it doesn't look great. I think it looks best with our wild card here. If anything, he might just get... I don't care, Rick. I'm taking it from you. Yeah. Yeah, I think he looks a lot better with just a more realistic rifle. That looks significantly better. Heck, maybe even take one of these for... Especially since Firefly is known to be the demolitions expert of Cobra. Yeah, that is probably going to be the look that we're going to use. At least for one of them. Yeah, I like this look the best. I think that's probably my favorite look for this character. Yeah, that's better. I like that look. And since, again, we've already shown off that we've got 4 Rick Flags, yeah, one can go to Wildcard, one can go to Firefly, Havoc, whatever you want to go with. One can even stay with a Rick Flag. Just put a little bit of variation into... See, that's the thing. The Army build background characters for photography, for making cool-looking pictures. You can't have them all look the exact same, otherwise it starts to be very, very obvious. You can make them look very similar, unless, of course, there's something like the Chitauri where they're going to have to look the exact same. And the Chitauri have no option. They are going to look the exact same. You don't really have options for what you're going to do with them. For more humanoid characters, do little variations, like giving one of these guys a grenade launcher here, giving the other one an assault rifle. You're good. Give these guys assault rifles, grenade launchers, pistols, giant clubs, or crowbars. Yeah. The accessories that come with this guy, they're never getting used. if I have to give him a rating, he's a 7. He's got some good articulation. He's got a good look to him. Again, he's going to look really cool as just a basic army builder to get probably devastated by another figure. But he's not perfect. I can use pretty much none of his accessories. Maybe one extra face, and that's it. That's it. With the wild card, at least I can use all the faces. I could use the handgun. I could use the crowbar. I'm never going to use this stupid rocket launcher. It's far too cartoony, just like all of this garbage. So, that means that of our 32 figures reviewed today, you've been keeping count, right? After all, we showed off 4 wildcards, 2 Havocs, 1 Valkyrie, 1 Manelope, 4 of our Rick Flags, and 15 of our Chitauri here. That puts us at 27 figures reviewed. Wrong eye again. Damn it. Which means we have 5 figures left in our biggest opening ever. So, for our final figures, we just had a figure that looks very much like a G.I. Joe figure. That's most of the reason why I bought him, is he looks like Firefly from G.I. Joe. And especially with the grenade launcher here, I buy that as Firefly. So let's get into some ninjas. After all, what is Cobra without some red ninjas? What's Marvel without red ninjas? I'll tell you what it is, it's boring. Everybody loves ninjas that wear red. For whatever reason, that's the preferred color for ninjas. It's red. Their Cobra, their hand, sometimes they're the foot. We need us some red ninjas. So, our last figure for today is the Articulated Icons Feudal Series Sarai, the Samurai Warlord. I know what you're thinking. Vamp, why are you lying to me? You said you was going to be doing ninjas. You said this was going to be ninjas. That's a samurai. That ain't no ninja. What are you doing? What are you doing, Vampire Preacher? I'll tell you what I'm doing. You're going to have to watch. Because Sarai here is a very unique figure. Both in where it's from and what it is. So, enough of me talking. Let's get into the figure, shall we? On the front here, we've got our Articulated Icons Feudal Series Sarai Warlord packaging. It says it's from the Fwoosh, which if you're an action figure fan, you probably already know all about the Fwoosh. On the bottom, it actually says everybody who was involved in designing this figure. So that's kind of cool. It gives us a major blurb all about the background of Sarai, the Samurai Warlord here, to go with their little in-universe lore that they've got. An artistic picture of Sarai here on the side. All of the other figures that they've got here on the back, which 90% of these, not available anymore. There's also major lore up here. Like I said, most of these, not even available. None of these first 2 rows of figures are available, nor any of the bottom row. These last 4 are all that are available on the site right now, along with 3 different ninjas in brown, green, and purple instead of red, black. There's no deluxe ninjas left. There's no martial arts masters left. The extra arms and hands and hand wraps, those are gone. And there is still the roof pieces as a diorama available inside of the packaging. we have our Sarai. Now, we've got the figure there. We've got all of his accessories here. We've got this kind of neat dojo-looking background here. What's kind of nice is for all of his accessories, they just put them in this little baggie so that you're not going to be looking around or needing to even keep the whole box, which I'm still going to do because I keep all my boxes. You're not going to be losing them either. Sarai here, though, is the only thing within this packaging. I did not know that he was zip-tied into here. As a note, the Fwoosh had done these figures originally as a Kickstarter. They were originally Kickstarter only. You had to back them to get them. And they were not cheap. They were not cheap at all. When I say they were not cheap, these are ninjas that have no kind of branding. They're not G.I. Joe, they're not Marvel. They're just very basic ninjas. Or in this case, a very basic samurai. This figure... Y'all, this figure... The original pricing on this figure is $53. $53 for this figure. That's a lot. That's a whole lot. Now, did I pay $53? Absolutely not. Again, with no real distribution, not having the corporate backings or anything like that, being a Kickstarter-funded project, they were a lot more expensive. However, like I said, the majority of the figures on the site are not available because they're just trying to get out all of their stock. I don't think they're going to be doing any further articulated icons, which is a little sad because these looked really cool. To be fair, though, I am not paying $53 for this figure. No matter how many accessories come with it, $53 was a little bit out of my range. Just like the basic ninjas being over $30 was a little bit out of my range. Now, in the bag of accessories, now that we've got that open, we'll put our packaging to the side. In the bag of accessories, we've got quite a bit that comes with them. We've got this spear. We've got a bow, which does not have a string, but it does have knock points for a string, so I'm probably going to be putting one on there later. We have a singular arrow, which is actually the closest arrow I've ever seen on any figure. We've got our samurai club here, which DBD fans will be immediately terrified by seeing this because you'll get flashbacks to the Oni. We have a quiver here, which looks like it has just enough room that we can also kind of slide. Yep, we can slide our arrow into the quiver. So that's kind of cool. We have a samurai helmet with two different crests. Our Oni mask. A skull mask, which, let me bring this up a little bit closer for you guys to see. It's a half skull mask. A more just kind of horrifying looking Oni mask. Our samurai helmet. Our twin embellishments for the helmet. This one having a little skull to go with the chevron. This one having some horns and the red sun middle. A basic red ninja head. And two katanas in sheaths. One actual katana. And one wakizashi. So, this comes with a fair number of accessories. Almost to the point of being worth $50. Not from me, because Vamp ain't got that kind of money yet. Hopefully soon, but not that kind yet. Now, another thing that I have seen from people online, because I did a little bit of research on these guys before I went buying, is the top knot on our head here, which that is the face sculpt it comes with, actually pops off. The top knot pops off because there's actually a peg inside of our helmet which sinks onto that opening that the top knot had. Sinks right in there to make it so that isn't popping off. You can also pop on the helmet chevron, which doesn't seem to want to pop on. I'm not going to pop that on right now because that one's not seeming to want to go in, and I don't want to go breaking this. These just happened to come in very late in the day on Friday to do this unboxing for y'all. Might need to reshape the helmet a little bit because it's just not wanting to pop on our emblems. But there's also little knocks inside of the helmet so that the masks that it comes with kind of slide into there so that they fit over the face perfectly well. Both with this one and with our skull head here, our skull mask. But that's why we've got our top knot that actually pops off. That's kind of interesting. But let's get into the articulation before we get into why I have 5 of these guys now. For our neck articulation, ooh, he's not really looking down, nor is he really looking up. It's pretty much just here. Thought he was supposed to, he does. Our neck joint just seems a little bit frozen. There we go. Alright, so he's looking down decently well. Actually, he's looking up almost as well as Wildcard did. Impressive. For our shoulder articulation, with the shoulder armor on, he's getting to about a T-pose. He does have the bicep swivels up here. He's got the double-jointed elbows, which can go a decent degree. They're not giving us that good flex, not yet. There's a little bit too much flash from the shoulder point up here. He also has sword-cut hands and a swivel for the wrist. So the sword-cut hands give him the standard up and down, and the wrist just kind of goes all around like that. He does have an ab crunch underneath, but he's got just too much armor on to show what that looks like. He also has a waist cut, not that you guys can even really see it under here. For his hip articulation, even with the armor on, that's pretty decent hip articulation. He, of course, has some thigh cuts on him. His double-jointed knees, which can go a pretty great degree back. He also has rocker ankles, which can go a decent degree in, or a decent degree out, and a pretty painful degree in. He also has boot cuts to him, so, you know, that's nice. Can go a little bit forward, and can go pretty much on point back. For scale, Sarai here is coming in at 6 inches on the nose at the top of his top knot. As a samurai figure, he's pretty cool. Doing a little bit of size comparison, Here he is next to our Professor Hulk. Next to our Rick Flag. Next to our Chitauri. And next to our Wild Card. So he goes pretty much in scale with our Marvel Legends. Now, I mentioned that I got Red Ninjas, because Red Ninjas are a Cobra thing and they're a hand thing. This is most clearly a samurai. You can look at all of the armor and tell that. What if I told you guys that every piece of armor on here slides off? That's right. For our customizing, for our mix and match, you can take off every. I've seen people able to pop out the shoulder joints, and I know I'm going to need to take off the torso armor, but that slides off his arm pretty well. I've seen people suggest doing the heat and pop for these, which, oh, not even necessary. Just takes a little bit of work to do instead. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. With working it just a little bit, our Red Samurai is no samurai. Now, I've seen people definitely suggest heating this part up, especially since on the initial runs, they had him with 2 different armor pieces here for the chest. But on the later runs, like this one, the 2 pieces got glued together. So, just trying to wiggle him a little bit. I think I might need to do the boiling water trick here to really get that all off, because I'm not willing to have that armor get absolutely destroyed. But you guys get the basic picture. That with a little bit of work and a little bit of heat just to get off these portions, you have, instead of a Red Samurai, you got yourself a Red Ninja. Which means you can use them as any Red Ninja you want to. Use them as a hand ninja, use them as a Cobra Ninja. That's my intent. You'll also notice that the little piece that I popped off on his side here, yeah, that doesn't need to stay on the armor. That just is a peg. There's additionally, funny enough, a peg right here in the back where it can pop on. So, if you want him to be a samurai, you can keep this right here, and the swords actually pop through here like so. Am I doing it the wrong way? 'Cause I think one's larger than the other. I think I was. If you want him to have his swords on his side, like so, that's great for a samurai. If you want him to have his swords on his back, he can do that as well, to be more ninja-like. If you want him to have his quiver on his back, the peg hole works for that too. You could also have the quiver here on the side. Which means you have lots of options for your ninjas, which is exactly why I got him. Now, as I said before, this figure was $53 originally. So, for $53, it's a lot of stuff. It's a little expensive for me, again, because distribution isn't really there, because it was a Kickstarter-funded project done by a small company like the Fwoosh, which is just a website that does figures. They talk about them all the time, and here they are making one of their own. It's neat. He comes with a ton of stuff, but they're not $53 right now. They're not. They're on sale for an awesome price. Right now, each of these figures is $20. With all of this stuff, actually every figure they have is $20. Now, if you want a basic ninja in purple, green, or brown, they're $20. But they're normally $30. These guys are normally $53. At $20, that's less than half for each figure. $20 is kind of my limit for what I'm really willing to spend on figures, if you guys actually want to know. I kind of try to limit myself there. If it's more than $20, I really need to want the figure. It needs to be really something special, like the Deluxe Black Widow, or like a big Build-A-Figure, like the Red Hulk figure. And those were each only $30. $53 is a whole lot for something that isn't even like a big name figure for me. $30 is like my absolute limit. This being $20, 100% worth it. 100% worth it. I'm going to do the old heat and pop on this armor to get it off, so that this is just, because underneath it is just a basic ninja. He does have an ab crunch under here. Just with the armor, you can't really see it. Same thing with the waist swivel. But he's just a basic red ninja. These are going to be my hand ninjas, and definitely my Cobra ninjas, at least until Classified Series tries to put out another red ninja. Because if you think I'm not going to just get a ton of red ninjas to get the bejesus kicked out of them by Daredevil, to have Wolverine slice them up, you're wrong. I will, of course, happily get a ton, and I mean a ton, of red ninjas. Why? Because they're good, basic henchmen. Everybody uses them, everybody beats them up. For $20, this is a great figure. It's got an absolute ton of accessories. I mean, y'all can see this. Y'all can look over and just see how many accessories we're talking about here. When this figure costs as much as this figure. Now again, I bought these for $5. For $5, I'm mostly satisfied. This figure used to be $20. This figure is currently $20. Go with this one every time. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Go with this red. The articulated icons are amazing. They are incredible. With all the armor pieces, with all the extras, with the options here, I can have this ninja with this scary skull face, which that looks really cool. I can have him with the devastating Oni mask, which is kind of awesome looking. I mean, that's without the helmet on, just with the Oni mask on the face. Likewise, just the skull face on here, and it's not falling off, so I can pose it with just the skull face on. That's kind of awesome. If I want the Oni face to go with the helmet, I can do that too. To go with the chevron here, to make it look like the Oni from DBD, absolutely pummeling the bejesus out of me with the sex bat here. That's fine. This figure is amazing. I love this figure. I love this figure. This figure is amazing. With all of the armor, the extra head, the face plates, the helmet, the extra little horns for the helmet, the quiver, the arrow, the bow, the katana, the wakizashi, the usable sheaths for them, this neat spear, the bow. Yeah, I'm gonna need to put a string on the bow. I'm gonna need to do that with Manelope too, and she was also $20. Again, I didn't pay $20 for her, but that's how much she's supposed to be. This is an awesome figure. If you want to do picture taking, if you want to do dioramas, if you want to take a picture of Daredevil just knocking the crap out of the hand, this is where you go. Get this figure. Get a bunch of them. Like I said, I personally have a few photography plans for them. You can't tell, I went a little bit nuts when I heard they were $20. Which means that these 5 figures here are technically $260 worth of figures. $260 worth of figures that I paid less than $100 for. So yeah, there's going to be some really cool photography going on. They are worth it, every single penny. On a rating, Sarai the Ninja is going to be... He's another 9 out of 10. He's another 9 out of 10. I'd give him higher. Sarai the Samurai would get higher. The only reason why he didn't is because it's going to take me a little bit of effort to get this armor off of here to really show you guys the ninja underneath. That being said, I've got nothing against it. It's got great articulation. It's got a ton of accessories. This is a figure to get. I like this figure. I like him a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, that takes care of our largest unboxing ever. Technically not lying to you. We did unbox 32 figures today. But we only had to open 1 each. So we opened up 7, but we did a review for 32 figures. Because that's how army building works. Because when you get a bunch of these guys for cheap, a bunch of these guys for cheap, a bunch of these guys for cheap, a couple of these guys for cheap, 1 each of these guys for cheap, it means that you don't pay a lot of money, but you get a lot of cool things that you can do a lot of cool pictures with. Thank you all so much for joining me. It has been a ton of fun. Have a fantastic day. Take care of yourselves. And don't forget, keep it nerdy.